Hey guys, this is Matt Brunet, and welcome to Movie News Weekly, hosted by FilmBook. Now before we begin, let's take a look at what we got in this week's news, which includes the roller coaster of box office results, the Unicorn Store will offer more Brie, A Little Monkey is back on the big screen, Narnia will be opening their doors again, someone please tell Miles no, who will cause Scarface rise of power, the Croods will need some time before returning, how an anticipated crossover might not happen, what's happening with Mortal Kombat, and the loss of a memorable Star Wars character. So with that said, let's get things started. This weekend presented an endless supply of mixed results down at the box office. Although Suicide Squad remains in first place for the second week in a row, it managed to do so by receiving a huge 67% drop from last week, only earning less than $44 million. However, good news was shown to the new R-rated animated comedy Sausage Party, as it defied many expectations and went up to second place with less than $34 million. Meanwhile, the new Disney reboot, Pete's Dragon, didn't start off as well as most other Disney films this year, and only managed to get up to third place with about $21.5 million. As for Florence Foster Jenkins, it started off on the low end down to 8th place with about $6.5 million, but this is due to the film appearing in only 1,500 theaters. Ahead of Jenkins includes Jason Bourne with less than $14 million, Bad Moms with more than $11 million, The Secret Life of Pets with less than $9 million, and The Star Trek Beyond with less than $7 million. Before she ventures on as Captain Marvel, she'll have to learn to be a grown-up. Brie Larson is on board to not only star, but also produce and make her directorial debut in the independent comedy Unicorn Store. The story will be centered on a girl who got invited to a store that would test her knowledge on what it means to grow up. The movie will be written by Samantha McIntyre, and the project was originally unveiled back in 2012 when Miguel Arteta was supposed to direct and have Rebel Wilson to star in the picture. The filming of the movie will begin this October. Doesn't hurt to know how it feels to be in live action. Universal Pictures has announced that they will be making a live-action adaptation of the children's book Curious George by Margaret and H.A. Ray. On top of that, the company has also signed on Andrew Adamson to direct the picture. Adamson is very familiar with the works of successful family films, as he is noted to be the director of films such as the first two installments of both Shrek and Chronicles of Narnia. Imagine Entertainment's Ron Howard and Brian Grazer will come in to produce, along with David Kirshner and John Shapiro. This will not be the first time that Curious George will come to the big screen, as he was featured in his first animated film back in 2006, starring Will Ferrell and Drew Barrymore. Time to open the wardrobe again. The companies TriStar Pictures, eOne, and the Mark Gordon Company will all be financing and producing a new film interpretation of the Chronicles of Narnia by C.S. Lewis, starting with The Silver Chair. The only people confirmed to be on board with this are David McGee as the writer and Vincent Sieber, Melvin Adams, and the stepson of C.S. Lewis, Douglas Gresham, will be producing the film. This will be the third major studio to turn the book series into a movie franchise, with Disney adapting the first two films, and Fox who made the third with The Voyage of the Dawn Treader. The movie will be distributed by Sony and eOne. Miles, buddy, I think I speak for everyone when I say that it's best to just move on. The man who played Mr. Fantastic in the 2015 Fantastic Four movie, Miles Teller, revealed in an interview with Joe Blow that he would like to do a sequel to the superhero film. Teller said, "Yeah, for sure. I love the cast, I love the characters. I think it's such an interesting dynamic. I love how much they really need to rely on each other. This Avengers thing, they've kind of created their own Fantastic Four in a way. Marvel's first family. Their powers can't just exist on their own. You need Thor to do this, the Hulk to do this thing, and so yeah, absolutely, I would love to do another one." The 2015 movie was considered to be one of the biggest disasters for a superhero movie, with not only total disgust from both critics and audiences, but also bombing at the box office by earning $160 million worldwide on a $120 million budget. If he can get away with remaking The Magnificent Seven, maybe he can do this too. Antione Fuqua is now in talks with Universal to direct the remake of Scarface. The new version, which is set in a more contemporary setting in Los Angeles, is written by Jonathan Herman from a previous draft by David Ayer and Paul Attanasio. This will be the third iteration of the crime classic, with the first being the 1932 film directed by Howard Hawks and starring Paul Muni, and the more known 1983 remake starring Al Pacino and directed by Brian De Palma. The next movie, made by Fuqua, The Magnificent Seven, will be released by MGM and Sony on September 23rd. Guess it won't be a Croods Christmas after all. Fox is moving their animation lineup by putting DreamWorks Animation's The Croods 2 from its December 22, 2017 release to somewhere in 2018. What will be taking its place will be Blue Sky's The Story of Ferdinand, which was originally to be out on July 21st of that year. DreamWorks will still be releasing 2 more features in 2017, including The Boss Baby in March and Captain Underpants in June. With the recent deal of Comcast purchasing the studio to place them under the Universal banner, there is no confirmation to how long Fox will still have control over DreamWorks Animation's schedule. Bad news for those anticipating the crazy crossover. Jonah Hill talked with the Toronto Sun regarding the 21 Jump Street Men in Black crossover that there's a strong possibility that it might not even happen. He stated, "They're trying to make all the deals, but it's kind of impossible with all the Men in Black stuff. The Jump Street films were so fun to make, and the whole joke of them was that they were making fun of remakes and sequels and reboots, and then now it's becoming a giant sequel reboot. It's almost becoming what we're making fun of, and it's hard to maintain that joke when it's so high stakes." Earlier this year, it was reported that James Bobbin was in early talks to be the director of this film, but there is no official word yet from Sony regarding their plans with the crossover. It takes good practice to get the right button combinations on what makes a good film like this. When talking to IGN, James Wan revealed the current status on New Line Cinemas and Broken Road's Mortal Kombat movie. He said, "I don't want to rush into it, so right now we're just trying to take our time to make sure it's heading to the right direction. I think that's more important than trying to rush through it and pump up something that no one likes. This really mythical, bigger world that lives on another dimension on top of ours. I think that's really fun to play with, and so we'll see." So far, Wan is only producing the film, and there has yet to be a director attached. James Wan's next movie he'll direct, Aquaman, is ready to hit theaters on July 27th, 2018. We sadly lost another memorable star this year. Actor Kenny Baker has unfortunately passed away at the age of 81 due to a lengthy illness reported by his niece, Abigail Shield. The 3'8" actor was known to appear in several movies like Time Bandits, The Elephant Man, and The Goonies, but his most popular role that put him into fame was playing R2-D2 in the prequel trilogy and original trilogy of Star Wars. Shield stated, "He did extremely well in his life. He was very ill for the last few years, so we had been expecting it. He had been looked after by one of his nephews who found him on Saturday morning. He will surely be missed."
And that's all I've got for this week. Thank you guys so much for watching, and don't forget to head on down to film-book.com for all the latest movie and TV news, along with their columns on the box office and their theatrical release schedule. Also, you can follow them on whatever social media you'd like. And while you're at it, you can follow me on my YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter if you're more into stuff like animation, Disney, and my weird sense of humor. If you were watching this on YouTube, then hit that like button and come subscribe to us, and also leave a little comment on what you think on the news this week. If you were listening to this on a podcast on iTunes or any other podcast service, then don't forget to rate and review what you just heard. Tune in next time for another round of Movie News Weekly, and until next week, see you later, dudes!